Good morning. I'm Peter W, Rector of St. Margaret's Church. This is the third segment of Taste and See, our full fourfold action of the Eucharist explained during Lent. And today we're going to talk about the third idea, the third action of the Eucharist, which is break. Remember, Jesus took the bread, blessed it, and then he broke the bread. And when he broke the bread, you imagine what kind of bread it was. It was a Passover meal. It was probably unleavened, and it was probably like what we would think of as a pita bread or something like that. When you break a loaf of bread like that, sometimes some crumbs fall out. What's fascinating about what we've done in the church is, since we've institutionalized everything, we now use this kind of cardboardish, dry wafer that cracks when it's crisp. Of course, in the humid summer months, when everything's kind of wet and soggy, you don't get that crack. But either way, there was a time when I was doing a Eucharist, actually I was part of a Eucharist, a priest was celebrating it. He broke the host, and it was very intimate, and we were all kind of gathered around the altar. When he broke the host, this little sliver of bread flew out over the altar. And it was like, whoa, Jesus is flying. But it was an audible gasp from the 4 or 5 people that were gathered around the altar as we watched this sliver of bread go down and fall to the ground. Since it was kind of a high church and we had a high Eucharistic theology, somebody went down and got that sliver of bread and ate it, because a lot of churches feel like when you consecrate the bread and the wine, it becomes the body and blood of Christ, and not one morsel, not one crumb is to be wasted. And I always think that when we break that bread, we are challenged as Christians to be broken. Maybe not the way that Christ was broken on the cross, but somehow when our lives are broken open, when we become vulnerable, we are able to share love in a new and exciting way with people around us. We're able to give of ourselves perhaps more freely in order to let God be known more fully. And I always think about that in the Eucharist when Christ says, "This is my body broken for you." How are we breaking open our lives, and how is God breaking open our lives in order to show forth the blessings that God showers on us? Whenever I break the bread, I realize that, whether I break it into 2 pieces or 4 pieces or 24 pieces, the parts are always greater than the whole. In other words, what I give out in bread is magnified by the people that I give it to and by God's grace flowing through that sacrament. So I hope that when you take communion, when you take the bread, you realize that you're getting a lot more than just a wafer. You're getting Christ broken. You're getting God's vulnerability. You're getting God's love, and it magnifies itself in you. So thank you for this. We are going to be back next week with the final of the 4 actions of the Eucharist, which is giving. We're going to talk about that next week. Please join us. Thank you.